What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Wade Watches. I'm Wade, and this is just the standard edition of Wade Watches, not part of the holiday review themed series, because I am going to be reviewing The Marvels, directed by Nia DaCosta and starring Aman Balani, Brie Larson, Tiana Paris, and Samuel L. Jackson, of course. I saw this movie in IMAX about a week ago. I put out my brief out of theater reaction, and frankly, though I said in that video, well, I'll get more into detail in my full review, as I always say when I do my out of theater reactions. I really don't have much to add, like no striking new comments to make on how I feel about the Marvels. As I said in that out of theater video, I just found this to be a mediocre, slightly below average MCU affair, more in the same vein as Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania that we got earlier this year, or Thor: Love and Thunder. Though I will say I like the Marvels a bit more than I liked Quantumania, because Quantumania was just like, wow. So I like this a little bit more than Quantumania. I will go ahead and say that it doesn't even come close to being as good as Guardians Volume 3. I'll also put that out there right now. So yeah, just kind of mediocre, slightly below middle of the road stuff for me. But you know what? I like to start off with the positives and try and find the bright side and everything. So let's do that, because it's not a steaming pile of shit. It's not at this abomination that certain types of people are making it out to be on the internet. It's a perfectly harmless, watchable movie. It's not as terrible as people are making it out to be. So let's get into what actually works about the Marvels. First thing that works is our trio of titular heroes: Captain Marvel, Miss Marvel, and that's kind of a running joke in the movie that Monica Rambeau does not yet have a code name. So I'll just call her Monica Rambeau. But those three, they have perfect chemistry with each other. I felt that they worked really well with one another, and I enjoyed them teaming up and kicking ass together when it goes down. I really did. Um, other other than that, I liked what's her name? Kamala Khan, played by Aman Balani, Miss Marvel. I loved her family. They actually got a few laughs out of me. They were definitely there to just be the comedic relief, but it works because I genuinely found them funny, and I found their reaction to this very bizarre, out there situation funny as well. I really did. So that worked. Samuel L. Jackson as Nick Fury, for the brief time that he's in this movie, he always plays that character well. And I haven't seen Secret Invasion. I know about the not so positive response to that, but as far as I know, from what I have seen up to this point, he plays the character of Nick Fury really well, and I enjoyed him here. What else? What else worked? Um, I will also say that the Marvels has simultaneously does things better than the first 2019 Captain Marvel movie, but also has shortcomings, things that are inferior to that first movie. What it does better than the 2019 Captain Marvel movies is that it actually makes me care about the character of Captain Marvel's Carol Danvers. Like, she's no longer just this kind of like wooden character like I felt she was in Captain Marvel, and even a bit in Endgame, where it's just like she's super powerful and that's all there is to her. She has a couple of emotional moments in here, and they are very brief, that are like, oh, okay, I get you, I feel you, I understand why you're this way and why you're concerned about this. I get it, because again, we get to see some genuine emotion out of her. There are a couple of moments in this movie where you do feel for her, and it worked. As brief as it was, I will say that it worked, and it did actually get me invested in her character. So yeah, with all that positive stuff out of the way, really, I'm not gonna go through, and this is a spoiler-free review anyway, so I'm really not gonna go through and say like I didn't like this, I didn't like that, I didn't like that. This I think the main thing is this just really feels like an MCU movie stripped to its bare parts, just like the bare minimum manufactured MCU formula that we've all known to love and loathe at times, depending on what film we're talking about. Because that's just what it feels like. I think part of the reason why is this movie is under 2 hours. It clocks in at an hour and 40 minutes. I felt like for what definitely for what it was trying to do, trying to be this team up movie where these characters are meeting for the first time, where there's this big mystery as to why their powers are, initially switching until they figure it out, where there's this villain that has a personal axe to grind with Captain Marvel herself. I felt like for a movie that has all of this going on, also some planet hopping, going on adventures, that it definitely needed to be at least 2 hours and 15 minutes, maybe even 2.5 hours. Um, because just like I obviously don't have a problem with a movie that's under 2 hours. You can still tell a complete story. I've seen movies tell a complete narrative in just 80 minutes, hour and 20 minutes. But with this, it really felt like they were just trying to rush to get to this, to get to that, so we can have this, so we can insert that in here, and just like strip to its bare parts. And it just does the Marvels a huge disservice. I felt like I missed out on a lot, because again, there's a lot of big information in this movie, a lot of explaining, but I felt like I just didn't fully catch everything. Though I understood most of it, but I felt like there's things that are missing. There's some things that were confusing. Um, I felt that I couldn't care about this antagonist going up against Captain Marvel. I really couldn't care about her motivations because they're so brief. She's just there. She's basically just there to be like, I hate you. I have a problem with you, Captain Marvel, and I'm gonna get back at you for what you did. But you don't really understand the full extent of her resentment. You really don't. I mean, obviously there's a scene where it's like this is why she's so pissed off, but I really didn't feel it, and it did feel like a wasted villain because her reasons, when they're briefly explained, are valid, but go into more detail. That could have been a much more intriguing and interesting story if you had, added layers to it. If you would have let it, breathe a bit more. It really could have. And I was digging it, but then it's just like we got to get to the comedy, and that that MCU comedy. Okay. On that note, I'll just say this: some of the comedy in this movie, it's all right, it's funny, but more often than not, a lot of it's there to just be like, hey, serious moment, but hey, we got jokes, and I was just like, okay, all right, here we go again. And you know what? It's funny too because I was the odd man out in my IMAX screening of this movie because everybody around me was laughing their asses off. But I'm sorry, I just didn't find all the gags in this movie funny, and I thought they were inappropriately placed. If it's just me, then it's just me. That's my opinion. This is my video. This is my opinion. I just didn't find all the gags in this movie funny or necessary. So there's that. Um, and there was one gag in particular, like one huge comedy sequence in particular. It was obvious that they were just doing it because, like, it was one of those things where it's like this is a MCU movie that takes place in space, so we have to have that Guardians of the Galaxy slash Thor Ragnarok moment where something really weird and out there is going on for the sake of laughs. And I'm thinking to myself, not everything has to be like Thor Ragnarok or Guardians of the Galaxy. I know that the MCU's take on outer space is filled with colorful and quirky creatures and characters and bright planets, but you don't always have to force humor in there. But yeah, I guess that's what they believe works for the people, so they're gonna continue to do it anyway. Um, and yeah, really, that's all I have to say. Again, I did like this a little bit better than Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Not a lot better, but a little bit better. Definitely liked it less than Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Um, Liked it a little bit more than that first Captain Marvel movie. Liked it a bit more than Thor: Love and Thunder, but it's still like in that mediocre camp for me. I wish that the runtime was longer. I wish that more was explained. I wish that the story was expanded upon more because there are some neat concepts in there that ultimately are wasted for the sake of action sequences and big laughs. Um, but at the end of the day, I'm not gonna sit here and say this movie like just infuriated me and pissed me off, and that they completely fucked everything up. Because again, the one good thing that came out of watching the Marvels is that I did give slightly more of a shit about Captain Marvel, Brie Larson herself, though bizarrely, yet again, she's still playing it very wooden and very stoic. She gets a couple emotional moments, but like the majority of life in this movie comes from the other Marvels, Monica Rambeau and Kamala Khan as Miss Marvel, and they were good too. They were engaging, but I'm just saying, like it's weird that they keep having Brie Larson play it really like wooden and stoic, because I remember how she acted alongside Michael B. Jordan in Just Mercy. She is a very capable actress, and she can be have like these very powerful scenes. Why waste that? I don't know. Kevin Feige, I don't know what's going on in his head. But wrapping it up, I'm going to give the Marvels a 6 out of 10. There's enough in it that saves me from giving it like a 5 out of 10 or a 4 out of 10. There's just enough there that's like, this is mediocre and average, but there are some saving graces. There are some moments that I enjoyed. I like the whole power switching scenes. That was done really well. I like some of the action sequences. Some of the humor was funny. Some of the jokes actually did land. And there was a gag that, though was forced, and even the music they played when this joke was going on was all very forced, but it was kind of clever and slightly enjoyable. So yeah, what more can I say? 6 out of 10 for the Marvels. This has been another edition of Wade Watches, and I will be back with more. Peace.